Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is Monday night, April the 30th, 2018, and Monday Night Raw came to us from the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada, and we are here to bring the hammer down on this evening events right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of YouTube, baby, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, are my trusty companions, the world's greatest tag team, Thor, the wrestling god of thunder, the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and my little buddy, my most trusted companion, and the world heavyweight champion of all the microphones in the entire universe, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. Thank you guys so much for checking us out here at Sledgehammer TV today. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's official Monday Night Raw review. Thank you also to all of you listening in on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher Radio, the official audio homes of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's get started talking about tonight's events. And I guess I have a couple of big questions on my mind before we get started with the review. Let's go over some of the problems I'm seeing, because there are nothing but problems in the WWE as usual, and the hammer has got to fall when things do not make sense, and things very much do not make sense. Everything seems to be very random, and it just seems very chaotic, and nothing seems to be heading towards any sort of unified, straight end game. I don't know what their plans are for anything. Everything is just so mishmashed up right now. Coming off the heels of the shake-up, and then you got that greatest Royal Rumble that we had to tear apart this weekend, and going into a Backlash pay-per-view that's co-branded and are having interpromotional matchups. It doesn't make sense. What was the point of having the shake-up? And initially, if you look at Monday Night Raw, nothing has changed. We got Bobby Roode from SmackDown Live. He's the same as he was over there. He went from a very unceremonious, unglorious United States Championship title reign to doing nothing but losing. On the regular, it seems. Even though tonight's loss was some sort of a technicality, I don't understand why they're not using this Superstar ShakeUp and the changing in brands to change up the characters. Because that's what we need. We need the characters to be more compelling. We need the stories to mean something. Seeing babyface Bobby Roode is just boring as shit to me at this point. And then you can't tell me for 1 minute that they didn't just take the Riot Squad from SmackDown Live and inserted them, subbed them in for the injured Absolution, thanks to the retirement of Paige. Because they had no other creative ideas for the women's division. They said, well, we got this other 3-girl team over there. Let's just take them from there and put them here and continue on this story with Sasha Banks and Bayley that's still going nowhere. This is a friendship that has been crumbling now for months. This on again, off then, Ross and Rachel type bullshit. Who cares? I just want to see them wrestle. It's going to be the best match of the year for the women. Hands down, if they just get to it. But they're dragging ass so long on this storyline that by the time they get to it, most of us, including myself, are not going to give a shit anymore. I'm tired of seeing the Riot Squad and people getting involved in these storylines to just drag it out and do nothing with it. What is Ruby Riott or the Riot Squad going to have to do with the Sasha and Bayley match when it finally comes to a head? If they even finally pull the trigger on it, I think they're not fully invested in actually going ahead with that story, which is why they're playing around so much. But we're getting the same exact Monday Night Raw segments every single week. That storyline is case in point alone. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, over and over and over again we go. It's stale as shit. As good as the match was tonight, and tonight they had a great match. That was the cherry of Raw. If there was one sweet moment on Monday Night Raw tonight, it was the match that we had for the Intercontinental Championship in the main event tonight. But Finn Balor needs to change. Seth Rollins can't change. He's smoking red hot. Monday Night Rollins is the hottest property on Monday Night Raw right now, especially when you want to talk about his in-ring, capabilities and what he is capable of doing. You see it week in and week out. He's one of the hardest working men on the roster. Seth Rollins deserves to be the Intercontinental Champion, and Finn Balor deserves to be treated better than the way he is being treated by WWE Creative right now. I am so tired of this plain old, boring Finn Balor. He looks like when you get WWE 2K18 and you get that creator wrestler loaded up and you see him before you get to fine-tune him and make him look like something you want to be. That generic, plain old WWE superstar. He comes out in a leather jacket, he's got his little beard, he's got his little haircut, but there's nothing special about him. And if the crowd reception tonight in Montreal is any indication, I know what I'm talking about. Montreal is a hotbed, an absolute hotbed for professional wrestling. They love and appreciate the indie guys. And for them to be so kind of cold towards Finn Balor, at least until we got towards the end of this match, they were fully in the corner of a Seth Rollins. That is the fault of the WWE. You've seen, there were moments in that match, and there were moments in their segment earlier in the night where Finn Balor just seemed to be flirting with that line of being a little bit more, aggressive, being a little bit more heel-like. And it started to make me a little excited. Like, wow, maybe they're going to go with this. But then when Raw ended, Seth Rollins, we already knew was going to win the match because he's got this ridiculous match with The Miz at Backlash, which makes no sense, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But by that alone, you knew Seth Rollins wasn't going to lose. So now we're going to get to see this match again, and again, and again. And unless Finn Balor brings the demon back, or at least turns heel in this very plain, boring persona of his, it's not selling me. It's not getting me. And I'm one of the biggest Finn Balor guys you could ever find. I was all in on Finn Balor from the minute I seen him in NXT. I appreciated the character. I thought it was going to be something special. And it has fizzled out into a Balor Club that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing right now. He needs to change. But nothing has changed. So what was the point of the shakeup? It doesn't make any sense. Why are we getting a Raw superstar defending his championship against a SmackDown Live superstar? No feud between them really ongoing. No story behind it. It's just there. For what reason? It makes no sense. Finn Balor obviously was the next in line based off of the happenings of the ladder match at the Greatest Royal Rumble. They were the final two at the top of the ladder. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins are both on Monday Night Raw. That's the match we should have been getting. Maybe even a one-on-one ladder match between the two to settle the dispute by the way things ended at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Why can I think of these things and they come up with what we got tonight? Unbelievable. Why bother giving Nia Jax the championship if you're not going to use her in any fucking way at all? And then to top it all off, in the segment she does come out towards the end, she doesn't even bring the belt. Does anybody else not see something wrong with that? You didn't have 30 seconds to grab your fucking title out of your bag before you came running out to do nothing? To chase away Alexa Bliss and then raise the hands of Ronda Rousey and Natalya. That's what you had for your number one woman in the company, your Raw Women's Champion. This is how we're going to feature her tonight. Why bother? Why fucking bother at all? She's done nothing since WrestleMania. They're going on and on with this bully bullshit between her and Alexa that nobody gives two shits about. Alexa Bliss is a waste on Monday Night Raw right now. That pains me to say, but it is a God's honest truth. She comes on to do her little segment with the anti-bully campaign that she's going on against Nia Jax, and I don't even want to listen. I don't even care. It's far beyond where it should be. It should have been dead and buried at WrestleMania. Nia Jax is walking around smiling, holding hands with the girls in the division when she should be ripping fucking heads off. She shouldn't be good or bad. She should be that superstar that's just like, listen, I have no allegiances. I have no alliances. I'm Nia Jax. I'm the biggest, baddest broad you will ever come across. I'm the women's champion. I will take on everybody and I will squash each and every one of you. I don't give a damn. That's Nia Jax. Not this, oh, I'm big and I'm different. Let's celebrate that and make me smile and hold hands with the girls. Get the fuck out of here. It's trash. It's a disservice to the women's division. Women should be being featured in a much better way. How about giving them some match time? And when you do give us a match, don't give us something that we could have seen back in 2008. What is the WWE's obsession with the late 2000s? As far as it gets to matches they've been booking as of late. We had Randy Orton versus Shelton Benjamin. We had John Cena versus Triple H. And now tonight we get Mickie James versus Natalya. Did you give a shit that Alexa was out there? No. Did you give a shit that Ronda Rousey was out there? Maybe you did. I didn't. Do you care that they're trying to fill in the blanks with their little relationship? Ronda Rousey and Natalya have this long-standing history. Eve Torres, a former women's champion. Who gives a shit about Eve Torres? Or her fucking endorsement from Natalya to be friends with Ronda Rousey. Do you give a shit? When did we tune into E-Television? I don't want the dirt. I don't need all this backstory in my women's wrestling. I just need women in the ring wrestling. Absolutely ridiculous. The missed opportunity on Finn Balor is almost unforgivable. At this point, you've made him a joke. As big of a joke as you're making out of the Women's Championship and the brand split altogether. That's just a few of my problems and a few of the things I needed to get off my chest before we go through this train wreck of a show. And I didn't even get started on Roman Reigns. I didn't even get started on any of that shit. And I'm already running hot, as you can see, in the hammer's swinging hard, because tonight was a joke of a show. This show, you want to call this a go-home show? I wish everybody would have just fucking went home instead. You could have played me a replay of the actual greatest Royal Rumble, which took place in 1992, which was won by the Nature Boy Ric Flair in one of the greatest Royal Rumble performances, if not the single greatest Royal performance of all time. And I'd be much happier with my night of pro wrestling. In fact, that might be what I do next Monday. I'll fire it up myself on the WWE Network. Because I will much more enjoy myself throughout the night. Instead of having to sit through 3 hours of ridiculous garbage to get to a very good Intercontinental Championship match, which in the end gave me nothing to talk to you guys about. Except Seth Rollins is still your Intercontinental Champion. Monday Night Raw came to us from Montreal, Canada. I love the fans in Montreal. In fact, these crazy crowds that we get every once in a while, and that Raw After Mania thing that they like to say is Bizarro World and whatever, I'm pretty sure that originated in Montreal, Canada, and I absolutely love that place. If I had a choice in my next life, if I could pick the place where I would be born and raised and live my entire life, I think I would choose Montreal fucking Canada, because you guys as a wrestling fan base are absolutely amazing. You are not afraid to treat a random Monday Night Raw as if it were a Raw After Mania and voice your opinion, which is something I have been saying on this show that needs to happen in every city across the globe. Embrace every single Raw and SmackDown as if it was the one and only time you'll ever be there. Voice your opinion, have fun, be a rowdy crowd. Tonight is an example of a crowd actually making a crappy show fun to watch. Because as much as I hated what was going on, the crowd had me cracking up all night long. This was a red-hot crowd. I hope, and like I said, in my next life, to be from Montreal, Canada. Fantastic. What was not fantastic was the way it opened up. Of course, we had to start off with the big dog coming down to explain the nonsense with fucking Brock Lesnar. And let me tell you guys something right now. If you watch the replay carefully. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not sitting here trying to poke holes in the WWE's explanation. Although, I guess maybe that is what I do. That's why I bring this hammer here, to bring you guys the truth. Watch closely. Slow it down yourself if you have to. Roman's feet do not actually hit the floor either. His feet are caught up in the ring apron. So neither man's feet actually hit the floor, and the first person, if you are watching in real time, slow motion, to actually have their feet touch the floor is really Brock Lesnar. So they're not even really acknowledging the flub. You know, the referee wants to come out and say, oh, I made a mistake, I thought, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I was afraid that this was going to be their window and their opening to insert Roman Reigns into another heavyweight Universal Championship matchup against the Beast at Backlash or some shit like that. However, that is not the case. Kurt Angle himself made it known on WWE.com. He addressed the issue, saying the referee did make a mistake. It is clear looking back that there was some sort of a controversy in the ending, but the referee's decision is final, and Brock Lesnar is the winner of that match and is still your Universal Champion, and the Roman Reigns experiment hopefully is over, or at least moved to a more appropriate place on the card. As far as that goes, nobody gave a shit. They booed him with every single syllable out of his mouth. The crowd did not want to hear a word he had to say. They made things even worse by sending out Jinder Mahal, as if that was going to make the crowd automatically maybe cheer for Roman. But that quickly backfired, as the chants of "you both suck" quickly rung out throughout the Montreal Bell Center. Fantastic. These guys know what they're doing out there. Props to the fans in Montreal once again. And it would finally be saved by two fellow Canadians who would come out and make their presence felt. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens popped that place almost as loud as Jeff and Matt Hardy did at WrestleMania 33 with their surprise entrance. And it's not just because they're from Toronto, Canada. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are that over. I'm almost positive that they would get that type of reaction in any hot wrestling city. Not just because it's their hometown. You know, Michael Cole and the idiots, the mooks at the desk, they wanted to sit there and just keep driving that home, right? They wanted to keep telling us, oh, it's a hometown crowd tonight, everybody. It's a hometown crowd. That's why they're cheering these guys so hard. It's a hometown crowd. It's not just that. Sure, there's that. But there's also that we hate everybody else that's involved in the segment. And the other two guys are actually very well-respected wrestlers and loved throughout the world. Sure, it was a little enhanced, as it always is for a hometown person. But the way they just kept bringing it to you, making sure that us viewers at home know that, oh, they're only getting cheered like this because we're in their hometown, when that is not factually accurate. You run that same exact segment in New York City, in Philadelphia, in maybe Minnesota, anywhere else in the world where they appreciate pro wrestling the way it's supposed to be appreciated, that's the reaction you're going to get. It was the appropriate reaction. It was absolutely great. This whole segment just quickly broke down. It doesn't matter what anybody said, whether it was in French, whether it was in English, or whether it was in Arabic, or however many fucking languages you want to throw into one segment. The crowd took it over with their chants, and it was absolutely great. We had Bobby Boring Trashley, Boring Bobby Lashley, the king of no charisma. This guy gave Apollo Crews a run for his money. I thought Apollo Crews had no charisma. At least this guy's a little bit more, you know, appealing. He at least smiles. You know, there's something a little bit magnetic about Apollo Crews, especially if you want to compare him to the likes of Boring Trashley, Bobby Lashley. Soon as he came out, there were crickets. The crowd was going berserk. Absolute noise everywhere. Bobby Lashley's music hits. Everybody just went silent. They didn't even care enough to boo the man. It just was like, oh, trash is coming out. Who cares? They didn't care in Montreal because, like I said, they're smart. They know what they're talking about over there. And then it would all blow up even bigger when Braun Strowman, the winner of the greatest Royal Rumble, which means absolutely nothing, no matter how many times they want to repeat it over and over and over again tonight, came out. And that's really all you needed. You could have ran this entire segment with just Braun Strowman, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens, and I think everybody would have been much happier. WWE definitely would have been all the better to do that, because this took way too much time away from the show. And that was your opening segment, and it was pretty much just leading to a booking of a 6-man tag team match, a Teddy Long special on a Monday Night Raw, which oddly enough, we here in New York City got an advertisement, and I tweeted this on Twitter during the show, that Raw will be in Long Island next week. It's just a few miles away from my house. And they advertised this very match that they had tonight to be taking place next week on Monday Night Raw. So I don't know if this segment got away from them and they went with next week's plans tonight because whatever they had planned was going to get shit on by the crowd, or if they really are going to give us a rematch of this ridiculous 6-man that didn't need to happen, that really was nothing but a cheering fest for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So much so that the crowd was actually more over for Owens and Zayn than they were for Braun Strowman. That you can probably attribute to the hometown advantage, because that's more of a 50-50, I think, anywhere else in the world. Maybe even more on the Braun Strowman side of things. But that was your opening segment. Then we got Elias versus Bobby Roode, a feud that I don't want to see. Elias is a fantastic heel. He needs a great babyface to play opposite him. Bobby Roode is not that. Bobby Roode has been the most inglorious bastard I have seen since coming to Monday Night Raw. He's done nothing. I know it's just been a week that he's been on Raw, 2 weeks tops, but if you add in what he's done on SmackDown, you know what I'm saying is true. Just like we talked about at the beginning of the show. There's no point in even delving into it any further. You know, I don't want to just keep repeating myself, but Bobby Roode needs to be bad. We need Bobby Roode to be smacking people around, being vicious, and maybe, I keep saying maybe because I keep hoping they're going to do the right thing, but maybe Bobby Roode takes this advantage of this finish that they had tonight. Elias would throw Bobby Roode into the turnbuckle from the outside. He was outside of the ring, along the ring apron, and he was rammed into what was supposed to be the steel post or the turnbuckle, but he ended up right in between the two, right at that bar that holds the turnbuckle to the ring post, and it came across his chest, and then he would fall to the floor, and pretty sure he was faking an injury to the throat, which was a creative way to end this match, but all this means is that this is far from over, and unless he takes this as the point to say, listen, I'm done playing games, this guy almost took me out, this guy almost injured my throat, I'm not sitting here playing games and shaking hands and kissing babies no more, I'm going to show you what being glorious is really all about, and make his heel turn, then once again, just like with the Intercontinental Championship, if nothing like that happens, then it's not worth it. And we're just going to keep getting the same old bullshit Bobby Roode, all because Vince McMahon and company think that his theme song is too over as a babyface. And people want to sing along. Look at what they did to Shinsuke. They gave him the Parappa the Rapper theme song. Kick, punch, toll in the mind. Shinsuke Nakamura. It's horrible. They love to ruin things. Just like they're ruining Bobby Roode. And they're ruining Elias only in the aspect that they're not really giving him proper people to feud with. They're giving him guys like Braun Strowman, who's too big for him to overcome, and now you're giving him Bobby Roode, who nobody gives a shit about. Even guys like me, I got a big-ass poster of him on my wall because I love Bobby Roode. But they ruined him. They ruin and ruin and ruin. Let's continue on here with the rest of this review. Elias would win the match due to that stupid encounter. And then we would have the Authors of Pain. The Authors of Pain, one of my favorite tag teams coming out of this shakeup, at least being used in some sort of a positive fashion instead of being put out there and, you know, being given double countouts or close matches or anything. This is a perfect way for them to get the Authors of Pain back on track. They gave him two local yokels you know, Jean-Pierre and Francois, or whatever the fuck their names were. Inconsequential, it doesn't matter. They were going to be the latest chapter in the Book of Pain, which is exactly what they were, and the Authors of Pain made quick work out of them. And then they actually cut a little bit of a promo. I'm not too sure exactly what the last thing they said. Something about destruction. I don't know. But, you know, it's not as bad as I expected when they started talking. Of course, they had to go into their native tongue, which is fine. I really don't care, except for the fact that I don't understand what the hell they were saying. I don't know what they were trying to get across, except the fact that they are coming for every tag team in the division on Monday Night Raw, and each tag team will be a page in the book of the Authors of Pain, which is fucking great. This just can't go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Let's see it week 1. We've seen it now, right? So now let's see it next week. Maybe one more week, and then you give them a decent tag team to get into a program with, maybe leading into SummerSlam. Give them Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt even, if you want to just take them and put them right at the top and have them be the reason that they break up. Whatever. Be creative. Have some fun. Don't just keep doing this over and over and over every week as they have been known to do. How long did we have to sit through this with Braun Strowman? Then on the opposite end, they didn't barely even do it at all with Nia Jax. They did it like maybe twice or 3 times, and it wasn't even in a row. So it didn't help her momentum. They threw Asuka every once in a while a jobber. Making these guys build themselves up on jobbers, that's how it was back in the day. Used to tune in on Saturday every week on Superstars. You never even seen the champion. So that's why I don't know why everybody gets their panties in a bunch that Brock's not around. Seeing the champion is supposed to be special anyway. I know it gets to you. It gets to me at times. It's because he's gone a little bit too often. But we never seen Hogan every single Saturday. You know, we used to see Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Brooklyn Brawler. We used to see the Ultimate Warrior versus Bill Foster. Or some stupid idiot that nobody gave a shit about. Some local mook. A local yokel that nobody cares. A 100% Bobby the Brain Heenan certified ham and egger. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, but you can't drag it out too long. Or else it gets fucking boring. My computer is acting up on me, and these results are not going fast enough. Then we had Seth Rollins come out. Seth Rollins came out and did his whole, you know, play with the crowd thing, which was fine. And this was only leading to Finn Balor coming out and confronting him about the ladder match and how he snuck one from underneath him. They would be interrupted by the Miztourage for some reason. And although at first it actually angered me, and I was like, why are we getting a prospective match between these two being ruined by the Miztourage? But they actually did make me laugh with their appeal to Balor and Rollins to reform the Four Horsemen. And then they had these little t-shirts that had scotch taped on the faces of the 4 guys, and it was kind of amusing for a second. And then this just broke down into a brawl. Thankfully, this did not turn out to what I thought it was going to be, which was a 2-on-2 tag team matchup with all 4 competitors, and we would get the Intercontinental Championship match as the main event for the night without the Miztourage getting involved. So that ended up being all fine and dandy with me. Then we get Ruby Riott versus Sasha Banks. Ruby Riott and Sasha Banks actually had a lot of potential, and it was shaping up to be a pretty decent match. It was off to a slow start, but once they came back from the commercial break, the girls seemed to get into their groove. They had a decent chemistry. I have said multiple times and will continue to say on this podcast that Ruby Riott's potential is untapped. It is limitless, and she is very, very talented in the ring. She has something about her that will get her over as a star if they will just book her the right way. But they refuse. It's like they refuse to do things properly. The one big hindrance to her is actually the Riot Squad. We don't need Liv Morgan and Lady Strowman, Girl Braun, Sarah Logan, to be ruining each and every one of her matches. I understand the heel and the faction mentality, but when it's the only way they win, and you don't at least once in a while legitimately get a victory, then you can't win on your own, and you suck. That's the Jinder Mahal syndrome. She's essentially doing the same thing. She's way more talented than the modern-day garbage Raha ever could dream to be. She's got better timing. She's way better in the ring. And even just her overall packaging, no matter what you think about her pigeon face, she is a very talented and special superstar. And she can be a big star for the women's division if you get her out of the Riot Squad and feature her in high-profile matches like one we got tonight, and maybe don't hinder it for the viewing audience at home with a fucking commercial right in the middle of each and every match. It gets annoying when there's actually something I want to watch and all I keep seeing is commercials. And then you want to give us these pay-per-view commercials. Now you're putting your own commercials in between commercial time. What the hell? Why are you trying to kill me, WWE? Ruby Riott would win this matchup due to the interference of the Riot Squad. And did you care? I didn't care. Does anything matter that happens between Sasha and Bayley? No. Not until it actually gets going and we stop getting the interference from all these other people involving themselves unnecessarily in these stories that have nothing to do with them. The whole entire women's division should be revolving around those two. And instead we're getting all of this. Why is this screen not working? Hey, well, listen, live, baby. We are live and things happen. So we're just going to close this screen. Now I got to try to go off memory. Although the rest of the show, like I said, was uneventful. Do I need to talk about the segment involving Titus O'Neil? That they have to take the one thing that was most enjoyable about the Greatest Royal Rumble and now take the enjoyment out of it by making it a thing. They're trying to make it a thing. And then you got Baron Corbin coming in and making fun of Titus. And Titus is like, it's okay. Nobody cares. I didn't care. Baron Corbin goes out. He has a match with No Way Jose. No Way Jose is still coming out with the conga retards, making me hate a guy that I actually really liked in NXT. Absolute cringeworthy television. Unnecessary. And I wish they would do away with it. Adam Rose 2.0. Might as well just call him that. Because that's the territory he's headed. He's in the middle of this match with Baron Corbin. Titus Worldwide comes out. Right? They're making light of his entrance coming down. Apollo Crews is wiping the fucking ramp down with a towel so Titus don't slip, right? And then Titus makes a big deal. He didn't slip. And then he gets up on the apron and he pretends to fall. Well, he actually did fall, but he did this intentionally. This was not done on purpose. Or not on purpose. This was done on purpose. This was not an actual accident that they're trying to turn a positive into a negative, it seems. But nothing about Titus O'Neil for me will ever be positive. The whole thing was negative. Bringing Baron Corbin into this whole thing doesn't make it any more appealing to me. No Way Jose getting the win in this situation, making Baron Corbin look like a jackass because he allowed Titus Worldwide to distract him long enough to get rolled up by No Way Jose, this big bad lone wolf. Supposed to be so scary, coming out, you're talking shit in an actual decent promo, telling people that, oh, you want to come out and dance, you want to come out and make fun and have a good time, I'm here to punch faces and make money and win championships. And I say, hey, sounds good, right? This is a nice way to maybe relaunch Baron Corbin. And then the night ends with him getting rolled up by No Way Jose because he's watching a bunch of goofballs on the outside, applauding Titus O'Neil for falling on his ass. Baron Corbin has figuratively fallen on his ass just by the way you see them booking him on Monday Night Raw. Absolute trash. Just garbage. The two things I wanted to see the most tonight: Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt and their new World Tag Team Championships. And I was looking forward to seeing something further with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. When I first seen it during the shakeup, I was not a big fan of it, but as I started to think about it, it started to grow on me. I think this has the potential to be great. But obviously the WWE doesn't know what to do with it, because they just gave them a cell phone promo tonight. We got one of these promos from heaven, right? You know, all the ladies like to hold the phone all the way up in the fucking air so that you don't look like a real human being and that you're all face. And that's how Drew's doing it, and he's like 7 feet tall, so it really looked like it was coming from heaven. Dolph Ziggler looked like a fucking midget standing behind him, just due to the camera angle they were using. But they essentially said nothing. Said, we're not here to steal the show, we're here to take the show. Great! Why didn't you take the fucking show tonight? Definitely could have used you. Absolutely terrible. Intercontinental title match, like I said, was pretty damn good. But the rest of the show, is it even worth talking about? I can't really remember anything else of note. Give me a second to try to pull this up as we talk a little bit more. Just, I can't believe that they did not, at the end of this night, the opportunity was perfectly there for them to turn Finn Balor heel. He did it during that segment with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. I forgot to mention that that whole segment ended with Finn Balor coming up behind Seth Rollins and dropping him with a DDT. And I thought it was fucking phenomenal. And that's what I was saying when I said they started to tease the idea of Finn Balor maybe being bad. And as he was fighting Seth Rollins, he was talking shit. Oh, you know, you want to keep your title, you got to go through me. You know, really getting down into his face and shit. Excuse me 1 second. Here we go. Let's get back to business here. We talked about Titus and his crap. We talked about Ronda Rousey and Natty and Mickie James, like I said. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, we were just talking about. Reigns and Strowman and Lashley, the six-man. Yeah, I covered everything. That's how uneventful tonight was that I went through tonight's show. It doesn't seem like a lot for 3 hours because it really wasn't. It really wasn't. Every segment went on a little bit too long, and I really couldn't get into it. And they made it even worse with the announcements for Backlash, which is coming up in 7 days, and we got a bunch of matches just seemingly being randomly made. We had a matchup added tonight based off of the six-man tag team match. We got Braun Strowman being teamed with Boring Trashley going up against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at Backlash. For what? For what fucking reason? There's probably about as much reason for them fighting as there is for The Miz and Seth Rollins. That was Monday Night Raw tonight, you guys. If you guys have any questions or if I missed anything that you want to hear my opinion on, as always, the comment section is yours. Feel free to light it up. Don't forget to check me out on Twitter. I was live tweeting all night tonight. I had a lot of nice gems. Some of them I repeated here on the broadcast tonight. Some of them you will have to go and check out for yourself. At Nick Nightmare is the handle. Don't forget to also check us out at Facebook.com, The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. There is the official fan page where you can keep track on everything that we do here at the channel. If you are listening on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher Radio, do not forget to leave a 5-star rating or like or follow us on those platforms. But most importantly, if you're listening, you got to get your eyes on Sledgehammer TV, the official home of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, which is only on YouTube.com. That's where you can actually see Thor, the wrestling god of thunder, and the world heavyweight champion of microphones, Blue the Snowball, in his chrome dome glory with his beautiful world title draped across his face. If you're listening and you don't know what it looks like, all you gotta do is check us out. The Sledgehammer TV YouTube channel is the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of professional wrestling, and we bring the hammer down on the world of sports entertainment better than anybody else that does it in a business. And all we need is for you guys to help us to grow more and more, as we're looking for that 1,000 subscriber number before we hit June. So let's make the month of May the biggest month in Sledgehammer Wrestling Show history, you can help me do that. All you need to do is smash that subscribe button right now. Drop kick that thumbs up and then share this video with as many people as you can. Each and every person that you know that loves pro wrestling and maybe wants to become part of some sort of a club. Perhaps a Sledgehammer club, which is always accepting the most knowledgeable and respectful fans of professional wrestling. I have some of the absolute best fans on the internet. You guys are fucking awesome. Keep it coming. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe. If you did not do so already, I would greatly appreciate it. That is going to do it, everybody. My name is Nick Nightmare. Don't forget to check out everything else on the channel. We had the greatest Royal Rumble review and results show go up live over the weekend. If you missed it, check it out. Also, check out our Bruno Sammartino tribute is live on the channel. If you missed that, it's only 3 minutes. Probably the best 3 minutes you'll spend. It's way better than any 3 minutes you got to see on Monday Night Raw tonight. So go check that one out. We got the Backlash preview and prediction show coming at you guys this weekend, and tomorrow night is SmackDown Live as the road to Backlash continues, and maybe we'll actually get some sort of a build tomorrow night. I don't know. We'll have to check it out, and hopefully you will come here tomorrow night and see what I have to say and check it out with me. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.